Hello and welcome to yet another lesson in Science and Technology 2 called Life Processes in Living Organisms, where you will understand more about modern techniques of reproduction in humans and the concept of twins. IVF, surrogacy, the semen or sperm bank are all today's or the modern techniques of reproduction. IVF or in vitro fertilization. In this technique, fertilization is brought about in a test tube. The embryo formed is implanted in the uterus of the woman at the appropriate time. So this is not natural fertilization of the sperm and the oocyte, but it is brought about in a test tube artificially, and then the embryo formed by fertilization of male and female gamete is taken and implanted into the uterus of the woman at the appropriate time. This technique is used for having a child in the case of childless couples who have problems like less sperm count, obstacles in the oviduct, and other problems. Some women have problems with implantation of the embryo in the uterus. That means there will be fertilization, the embryo will be formed, but they are not able to hold that embryo in the uterus. These women can use the modern remedial technique called surrogacy. First, the oocyte or the female gamete is collected from the ovary of the woman having this problem. And that oocyte is fertilized again in a test tube with the help of the sperms collected from her husband. The embryo formed from such test tube fertilization is then taken and implanted in the uterus of another woman, of a healthy woman who is able to hold that baby or that embryo in her uterus. The woman in whose uterus the embryo is implanted is called the surrogate mother, and this process is called surrogacy. So surrogacy helps a woman who is not able to hold the baby or the embryo formed in her uterus. Many men have problems with sperm production. That is, the sperm may not be produced in enough amount, or the sperm is being produced but it's not healthy enough. So for such childless couple, a new concept called sperm bank, which is similar to a blood bank, has been introduced. Now, semen ejaculated by men whose semen is healthy. So the semen is given out and collected after they are thoroughly checked up, and this semen is stored in the sperm bank. Now, as per the wish of the needy couple, the oocyte or the female gamete of the woman is fertilized by the IVF technique in a test tube using semen not from the husband but from the sperm bank. Now, the embryo that now is formed is then taken and implanted in the uterus of the same woman. But the name of the donor, the person who has donated his semen, is strictly kept a secret as per the law. Two embryos develop simultaneously in the same uterus, and thus two offsprings are delivered simultaneously. These are called twins. So when we have two embryos getting fertilized and two developing, they are called twins. And you can see this is a sonography of twins in a uterus. Now, twins are of two types. They are monozygotic twins and dizygotic twins. These are some pictures of twins. Our very own Raghu and Rajiv Lakshman, famous for from the popular MTV Roadie show. Today they have launched their own company called Monozygotic Solutions Private Limited. Then we have these famous ladies from Los Angeles who completed 100 years on January 15, 2011, and then went on to complete their 103rd birthday till after that one of them passed away. Zygotic or identical twins. They are formed from a single embryo during the early period of its development, that is within 8 days of the zygote formation. Cells of that embryo divide into two groups. Now we have fertilization of oocyte and male gamete. There is a zygote which is formed due to that fertilization. Now, within 8 days, that is before 8 days, the cells of that embryo divide into two groups. These two groups develop as two separate embryos, and thus monozygotic twins are formed. So you can see here the sperm fertilizing the egg, and then within 8 days this division taking place and two separate embryos are formed. Now, such twins are genetically exactly similar. Okay, they are similar in their appearance and their gender is also the same, meaning both of them are either boys or they are girls, because they are divided from the same zygote. Okay, one sperm, one egg dividing into two, hence they are genetically exactly the same to each other. They look alike and their gender is also the same. In monozygotic twins, if the embryonic cells are divided into two groups 8 days after zygotic formation, there is a high chance that there will be the formation of conjoined or Siamese twins. Okay, so embryonic cells should divide into twins before 8 days, and therefore if it is not divided or divides after 8 days, it could be that these twins can be Siamese twins and they could be joined by any body part. Sometimes they have organs also that are common between them. So this is the twins, Siamese twins joined by the head, and we have these famous sisters who are joined at the sides of their bodies throughout the life. Coming to the cutest pair of twins I know, this is them at birth. A few days later, they live in my society and are real bundles of energy and joy. This is them months later, a year later, and today Eliana has grown into this pretty smart girl and Daniel into a loving, observant boy. They are so different in size, looks and manner, but they were born at the same time and therefore they are twins. So twins could be not identical, they could be of a different sex. Okay. Ashton Kutcher, the famous American actor from the 70s show, also has a twin who looks very different from him. Which brings us to dizygotic twins. So sometimes two oocytes of female gametes are released from the ovary of a woman, and both of them are fertilized by two separate sperms. Thus, two separate zygotes are formed. As you can see here, two oocytes, two separate sperms, two separate zygotes. two embryos are formed from these two zygotes, and both are separately implanted in the uterus, and this is how dizygotic or non-identical twins are delivered after complete development. Such twins are genetically different. They may be of the same gender or not. They could be two girls, they could be two boys looking very different, or they could be one girl and one boy.